Hey moms, welcome back to Momestly. In today's video, I'm going to continue talking about some of the topics that were left off of our March Madness lineup. And the topic for today is going to be eating habits. So I don't know how many moms go through this, but I know that when Oliver was first born, all the way up to God, even now, and he's almost 2, I'm super paranoid about his eating habits. I worry, and I'm going to be honest with you, not even from like a healthy standpoint. I just worry about him eating enough because it's just something that I'm constantly worried about. So yeah, so originally I was going to breastfeed. The plan was to breastfeed only. However, I ended up having to supplement. My body, even kind of early on, wasn't able to keep up with the amount that Oliver was eating. So I had to supplement formula, and then I still breastfed, every feeding. And then if he wanted more, he got a bottle. Once I went back to work, my milk production plummeted, and then I had a minor surgery the September after Oliver was born, and literally I had to pump and dump, which I cried uncontrollably. It was the first time ever that I had been able to pump that much milk, and I had to pour it down the drain because I had anesthesia from my surgery. So that was depressing. And then literally my milk never came back. Like after that, no matter what I pumped, like there was just nothing going on. So I ended up having to give up breastfeeding, and then we did formula until he was about 6 months, and then we introduced baby foods. So we did not do cereal, and the reason we didn't do cereal is because our pediatrician told us that cereal is just a filler. It's just empty calories. So they more use it when babies are still really, really hungry, but it doesn't actually have any nutritional value. So we didn't do cereal or the oatmeal stuff. We actually just went into introducing stage 1 baby foods. The purees and whatever when he was 6 months old. And he loved them right away. Like we didn't have any issues with those. My cat keeps trying to come over here and bother stuff. Stop it. And so, we didn't have a lot of issues with those. And then we slowly introduced like the teether crackers and the little husk things, whatever those are called. And then slowly introducing like real food all the way up to now. I think one of the things that we're dealing with now is we have more of a grazer than like for Melinda. Oliver sits in his high chair like he's supposed to. We'll use utensils for a little while, and we'll eat like real meals when Aria is there, I guess, to be an example. He doesn't really do that with us. And unfortunately, regardless of the opinions that I've received, the only way that we are able to get him to eat an adequate amount is to let him roam and eat. And as much as I would love to have him sit at a table, I'm more worried about him eating enough than I am him sitting at a table to impress people who think that's what he's supposed to be doing. So we're not really focused on that. We are more focused on just making sure that he gets enough to eat throughout the day. He has been at a consistent weight gain. In fact, at his 18-month appointment, he had boosted up to the 60, I think it was the 60th percentile for weight, which surprised me because I felt like he wasn't eating enough. And he'll snack and he'll eat things periodically, and he's actually pretty good about eating some of the things that we like. But when I asked my doctor, she was pretty to the point. She just said, well, they don't need as much as we think they do. We worry so much about how much they're eating, and it would take them literally eating nothing for days to see a weight loss. And they can just go through days where they eat really well, and they'll go through days where they don't eat at all. And so it's kind of this like constant back and forth with the eating. And now that he's almost 2, He eats whatever we eat most of the time, and then we do like, chicken nuggets. I've done meatballs. We've done sandwiches, like peanut butter and jelly, ham and cheese. He actually really likes cheese. So, and then I don't know if you've ever heard of these, but there are these things by the brand. I guess you pronounce it Knorr. It's Knorr. They have these little bag pastas. They're like $1 at the grocery store. But some of them have like, you can get them in the really healthy stuff like whole grain and whatever. But we just get the good ones. We get the cheddar broccoli pasta ones and fettuccine alfredo, and he loves the shit out of those. So we do those a lot because I know that he'll eat them, and I mean, there's a little bit of nutrition in there, I guess. Like even bagel bites, he eats those. So we don't really have I don't think we really have quote unquote like a picky eater. I think what we have is we just have a grazer. And from what I've been told by other moms, from what I've heard from pediatricians, from what I've read online, grazing is actually a pretty good way to prevent them from being picky eaters. It kind of allows them the freedom to be able to just try new things without there being like a lot of pressure to do so. I don't know how true that is. Obviously, I don't have a grown kid that I can say, well, we let him graze and he's not a picky eater. I don't know. I'm actually a very, very picky eater, and I like to say simple. And then Rick will eat pretty much anything you put in front of him. So I kind of hope Ollie's more like that, just because like I know I'm a pain when we have to like when we go out to eat or like when people order food for me if we're doing meals together and stuff. It's kind of a pain, but otherwise, like I don't feel like we have a really picky eater. I think one of the things that we did have to deal with early on when Oliver was a newborn was he had horrible reflux, and the first time. So just in case you aren't aware, there is a difference between like reflux and like throwing up. So there technically is like a difference. So the reflux that Ollie had, he spit up what I felt was like half or more of what he was eating, and it was really bothersome. We did have two doctor's appointments in the very beginning where he didn't lose weight, but he wasn't gaining weight, so we had to increase the amount and how frequent we were feeding him because they just didn't want him to get to the point where he was losing weight. And I think part of it was probably the reflux. He would eat, if he could put away a 3 ounce bottle, I felt like he was spewing back up 2.5 ounces, which in reality isn't true. I think one of the best comparisons I heard was that, if you take a bottle that's 2.5 ounces or 3 ounces or whatever, and you pour it onto the counter compared to their throw up, you'll realize that like they really aren't throwing up everything they're eating, even when it feels like it. But I will tell you that the first time that he projectile, I I thought we had like an exorcist baby. It scared me so bad. And then when it didn't happen again, I was like, okay, because I think right before or right after that happened, we had to go to the doctor. We had to go to a doctor's appointment anyway. But and they ended up putting him on an antacid, which is basically the same stuff we take, just in a liquid baby form. That's better, or more diluted or whatever for them. So and it actually helped. It did not get rid of it, but it did make it better. And if you're dealing with reflux, it's exhausting. And I know it's exhausting, and you worry about all these things aside from being thrown up on and having these messes all the time and having to change the baby all the time and feeling bad for them. They do typically grow out of it. So Oliver's reflux got a lot better when he was about 6 months old, and then he still had a little bit, but it was nowhere near as bad as it was earlier. But I'll be honest with you, once we started like real food, like baby food, and he started eating like the teeter Cheeto things and stuff like that, it pretty much didn't exist at all. And then once we went off formula, which was exactly at a year, like it never happened again. Now the only thing that happens, I think, is he drinks too much juice too fast. But anyway, that's not related to that. Yeah, so one of the other things that I kind of struggle with him eating is like he's almost 2, and our doctor's been telling us since he was 1 that she wanted us to like get him used to the idea of using utensils. I think it's fine to set the expectation that you're going to try, but I think it's also fine if your kid doesn't want to use a utensil. And maybe this is a bit of a stretch, but I mean, how many adults do you know that eat with their hands because they did when they were kids? Not very many. So I think I think some of it is, I think he gets impatient. And if you really like something, he just does this to it and wants to just shove it in his, like, I've watched him take two handfuls of like a mac and cheese or something that he just really, really liked and want to shove it all in his mouth because he likes it. And I don't think that continuing to introduce a fork or a spoon is really going to cut down on that stuff. I think in the end, they're just going to kind of eat however they want. So don't put a lot of pressure on yourself if your kid is a little bit older and not using utensils. I mean, a lot of their food is hands friendly anyway. You know, a lot of the snacks and stuff that they eat, it's just hands. You know, when they eat chicken nuggets or they have, I mean, even the meatballs that he eats them like they're just little things that he can pick up with his hands. So, you know, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself if your kid doesn't want to use utensils. I don't think it's quite that big of a deal within reason. And especially because Oliver has shown me that he knows how to use it. He's done it, and it's just like everything else. If they've done it once, they know how to do it. It's just a desire most of the time. I'm just looking at my notes for what else I wrote. Oh, so one of the other things that is kind of fun about Oliver is he's a very distracted eater. And I've even tried to get rid of distractions. You know, I've put him in his high chair in our dining room where there isn't anything going on, and you know, no TV on in the background, no toy. It's just us, and he doesn't know, like it doesn't work. But when he's distracted, it just takes him a lot longer to eat. So I was asking Rick one day, I was like, how do you get him to eat so many chicken nuggets? Like when I do chicken nuggets, he doesn't eat but like one. How do you get him to eat 3 and 4 chicken nuggets? And he's like, well, when he plays, I just periodically go here and I hand him one and he eats it and then he goes back to playing. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's one way to do it, I guess. So I think that everybody deals with different things with eaters. I think Aria is a way better eater than Ollie. She eats, you know, more of a variety of things, and he will, when he's with her, he will eat more of the things that she eats, which is good. But he doesn't so much with us, and I don't know if I don't know what the logic behind that is, but um, he eats okay. But the point is that, you know, all kids are different when it comes to eating habits. If you're dealing with reflux, you know, the antacid really helped us. If you don't want to go that route, they do grow out of it. Also, if you have any receiving blankets and you have a child that has reflux, I highly recommend keeping them around as towels because that's what we did, and it helped like so much with the mess. I laid one around him all the time. We would do the whole set him up for 30 minutes to make sure everything had the opportunity to go down, and he would still throw up or spit up everywhere. So those are super handy. If you have a picky eater, just keep introducing things. They do form their own opinions just like we do, and they're probably not going to always eat everything that you want them to, and that's just part of becoming who they're going to be. There are certain things that Oliver really, really loves to eat, and there are certain things he does not like. And what's really interesting, and I don't know if this is just an Oliver thing or if it's like an every baby thing, but what's really interesting is if he doesn't like the way something looks, he won't eat it. I have no idea where he got that from. It's hysterical. I've literally tried to give him something and he will look at it and go, ew, and walk away. He will not touch it. Or he'll go like this. He does that too. But so, and then grazing, if you have a snacker slash grazer and it bugs you, try to remember that it's actually totally fine and normal that they're like that. It's better that they're eating than to not be eating. And as long as you're not seeing a weight loss, I mean, I try to make the snacks healthy. Like we do veggie straws and we do, Melinda started him on the cutie oranges. So I have those now too. He actually really likes pickles, which do have high salt content, but otherwise they're not that horrible. And he likes chips and stuff, but I get like fruit snacks and granola bars we still do pouches like the little squeezy pouches. Gogurt, he hasn't quite figured that one out, but he does kind of like those. So there's healthier snack options as well, but snacking and grazing is not a bad thing. And if for some reason, because I know this is a thing, if there is someone in your life that gives you a really hard time about it, try your best to ignore it because it really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that your child is continuing to grow. They're gaining weight. They're getting, taller. They're learning new things with their foods and they're trying. And that's all you can ask for. I mean, they're not going to eat anything they don't want to eat. Unfortunately, I've heard people say like, oh, you're rushing them to do this or you shouldn't make them do that. It's like, I you can't make toddlers do anything. I've learned that. Listen, eat, take a nap, doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, so those are some things about eating habits. Um, if you know, I feel like I feel like eating habits is another one of those things that mom shaming does kind of like come into play because I have been I have had things said to me about the things that I let Oliver eat or that I don't make him like sit and eat. And it's like, yeah, but to me you have to pick your battles. Is it more important that I teach him to sit still or is it more important that he eats what he needs to grow? I think that's kind of a no-brainer. So, yeah. But anyway, hope you're keeping up with the rest of our mom madness chats. A lot of really interesting stuff that comes up and things that drive moms crazy. But I think the most important thing you can do is just remember that you're doing the right things. Whatever you think is best for you and your child, it is. It's what's best. So if you like these videos, make sure you like this one. If you have things that you're dealing with for eating habits, um, maybe if you want suggestions or if you have suggestions, we're always open to those. Leave them in the comments below. Let us know what you think. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. And hit the bell so you'll know when the rest of our little chit chats come out, as well as some of our other more fun videos that we're doing for April. We're definitely still practicing social distancing, so we're going to continue to do these separate videos and only a few probably together, maybe in May, depending on how it plays out. But yeah, that's all I have. So, hope you guys are staying safe and managing your quarantine and not going crazy. Don't send your kids away or kill your husbands or your wives. We'll get through it, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.